What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be going through my in the bag for the 2023 season. It is the 2024 season now, but I wanted to go through my bag as the year was finishing up, and then in 2024 talk about what changes I made or just give an update for another video. So today I'm just going to start off going with the approach, and to start, obviously my putting putters. I use a P2 stock, one of the new ones, nothing special for both. I like to putt with two. So other than the putting putters, obviously I have my approach discs. I've been using these for a long time compared to the others. And this little satchel, I like to keep them in so they don't get warped. I throw a handful, not too many, that go in the top of my bag. Now to start, this is a mid-range Justice. This is the flat top run that is super overstable. I like this for a lot of forehands and skip shots. I sometimes will throw on backhand if it's a tight line, but it's a pretty specific disc, not a normal Justice. This is specifically the flat top Lucid Justice, and it is very warped. I've had this for a while. Next up, this is a Z-Glow Zone that I got recently. This kind of went in for one of my other Get Freaky zones. More for stable backhands. Sometimes I'll throw them on approach up shots, but most of the time I'll use a different zone that's been in my bag. But yeah, definitely backhand, stable, headwinds, approach shots, standstill, stuff like that I will use this for. The most important disc in my bag is this Get Freaky zone. I've been throwing this zone since I started playing. It is more straight now than it ever has been. I use this for forehands, up shots, ante forehands, flip ups, straight shots, ante turnovers. I use this for about everything. Even sometimes I'll throw flick rollers with it. This is my #1 disc, and this thing has really kept me going, that's for sure. This is the one for me. And then next up, I have the Soft Proxy. I've aced twice with this. The day I got it, I actually aced with it. This is for more turn shots, but it'll still go straight. I only use this on backhand. If there's a shot that I need to throw off the tee, I might go for the zone instead of this. But sometimes there's a shot that requires a little more turn to straight finish. That's when I'll go for the Proxy. And then if I need something that goes more right, or if I need a standstill backhand that's gonna glide right for a long amount of time, I throw this Watt. This Watt is definitely understable, and it likes to hold the angle you put it on. It's almost like a baby glitch that I like to use it for. And you can do flip ups with it, but I don't really like it off the tee. It's really just an approach disc for me. It really is really nice on the standstill backhands, or, you know, pitching out and stuff like that. So that finishes up my approach discs. I'll go straight into the mid-ranges. This one is something that I just put in recently. I've been throwing a American Flag Ledgestone 2023 Buzz OS, and I just replaced it with this Scott Withers Tour Series Resistance Discs Buzz OS. This one's slightly more overstable, about where my old Buzz that I've thrown on the channel was just a few months ago. So I made this swap. This is my most recent change, and definitely want to throw it straight and have it come out at the end, but it's not going to be too much of a meat hook. And then for something that's even more overstable than that, and then I'll go to understable, is this Bobcat from Mint Discs. I've been throwing this for a while now, and it is very overstable. I have other discs similar to it that I've debated switching it from, but I really like the mold of this disc. It's just a super overstable Buzz OS. And I think this specific disc is overstable, like very overstable, rather than the run is more like a normal Buzz OS. So I just got really lucky with this one. I don't really use this disc for forehands or anything, more just backhands. I don't really forehand mid-ranges at all. So going to a little more straight with the finish of stability is the Matrix, Proton Matrix from MVP. I can get a little bit of turn out of this, but most of the time I'm throwing it straight. It'll push straight and then finish with a little bit of hyzer. I throw this one a lot as well. This is definitely on the more straight side compared to the Buzz OS. So that's the slot it fills, and it has a decent amount of glide too. So if I'm ever debating whether I want to throw a light fairway or a hard mid-range, I'll probably opt for the Matrix. And then my second to last mid-range, I have this Misprint Factory second-ish Lizotte, Simon Lizotte hex. This is the Eclipse Glow hex, and this is more of a slight flip up to flat for straight shots. If I throw it flat, I can get a little bit of turn, a little bit of flex out of it, and then usually it'll come out. So definitely if I'm looking for more of a straight shot, this is more similar to my zone with more distance. It's kind of how I use my slots for this. So lastly, my last mid-range is gonna be my trusty ESP Buzz. And I've been throwing this for a very long time as well, since I started playing. This is pretty much a Buzz SS now. That's how much it's broken in. I can use big hyzer flip ups to flat. I can throw big turnovers. I can throw straight with big turn. Sometimes I'll even throw a little bit of hyzer and have it flex to get through certain gaps. This disc has been working in my bag for a pretty darn long time now, and I really like it. And hopefully I can keep it going, but I definitely need to find more backups for this guy, that's for sure. All right, gonna fly into the mid-ranges. I only have 2. I used to have more, but I've been rocking a understable now Exodus, Oakley Exodus in specific from Infinite Discs. This is the Glow Metal Flake, and I use this for big flip-ups to flat to hit straight gaps or big turnovers. If I throw it flat, it's gonna turn. So if I'm opting between throwing a big forehand or a backhand, I would probably go, for my backhand option, I'd probably go with this Oakley Exodus. I've had it for a while and I've been using it for a bit, but we'll see how much changes going into the next season. And then for my other for my other fairway driver is this Tour Series Greg's Bardsby Eagle, the 2022, not the 2023. I got this at the end of 2022 and made the switch. So this plastic is the Glow, and of all the Eagles I've thrown, it feels very different. It's not as domey and is way more stable. So this is my flat to stable. I throw this for hyzers, or it's more similar to just a straight hyzer to overstable shot for me. All right, so I'm gonna go into the hybrids that I throw, starting off with the most understable. Understable is a bad term to use because it's still very overstable. I use this Z Raptor that I aced with at Nevin Park a couple years ago. I had it in my bag for forehands back then, and then about a year or so ago, I brought it back for flex forehands. It's a little understable on forehand, and then for backhands, it gives just a nice, reliable push hyzer. Sometimes you can give a little bit of flip up, but that's not the point for this disc. It's more of just an advanced eagle one on the backhand. And I really do enjoy using this thing. Whenever I need this exact same shot, but with a little more distance, that's when I'll go into this Lone Howl 3 Colton Montgomery Tour Series. One of my buddies dyed it. It was a white, and then I wiped off the stamp for just be the wolves, and I've been using this thing for a while. Has a lot more glide than the Raptor and is still very overstable, but has that slight flip up that's the same and definitely will push. I don't use this one on forehand at all. I'll strictly stick to the Raptors and my other 9-speed discs that I'm going into now, which are starting with my Proton Fireball. And I've had this for a decent amount. I like to throw this for straight shots to finish with hyzer. It'll give me a little bit of turn, but most of the time that's manufactured. The majority of this disc's use is for forehands. I've occasionally used it for backhands for big hyzer shots, but it's very rare. I just have been able to break this disc into a decent spot where if I need to hit a gap that's just straight and it comes out at the very end, it does the job perfectly. And then the more stable option for this, I go into my Nocturnal Glow Phoenix. Now this is the Samurai stamped. I used to throw just a stock one, but this was my backup. When I lost the stock one, this one came in just about a month ago or 2 months ago. And this is just the extremely overstable shot for overstable forehand skips, sky hyzers, backhand and forehand. This is really just an advanced Justice, that flat top Justice, as I think about it in my bag. Nothing else really as overstable for my options as this disc. So it really is a over-exaggerated, overstable shot for the 9-speed. So going into the drivers, I'll go with my most understable workhorse of a disc. My S-Line, when Innova made Discmania's discs, a DD3. and this disc is very understable. I use this for flip ups to hit large gaps. I'll use it for flat shots, for big turns. Sometimes it'll even come out of those and I get big distance. This is not a headwind disc by any means. Strictly if there's not much wind or if there's a tailwind, this is when this disc is getting used. And it really depends on how I'm feeling with the disc lately, because if I need something that's gonna pan the whole way right, I like to use my Halo Garagurthy Wraith. I've had this since I started playing as well. It's stuck in the bag for a long time. And it's, like I said, it gives me a nice pan to the right rather than the DD3 will sometimes come out of it. But the DD3 is more flippy because it will give more exaggerated flip up. This, you don't really have to flip up to flat much. If you just throw it flat, it will glide to the right. So I'd say it's a little more overstable in that regard. And then those two I only use for backhand. So strictly backhand discs, I will then go into my Horizon Eagle McMahon Creator Series Cloudbreaker. Now this thing is one of the newer ones. I've only been throwing this for about 4 or 5 months, and it used to be my extremely overstable driver, and then it started to give me a little bit of flex to it. So it became more of my distance shot for giving a full flex line. Oftentimes I'll use this if I need to push the OB on the right and have it flex out late on the left and stick in the fairway. This is the way I'm going. Like I said, strictly backhand. The next disc is also strictly backhand, is this Halo Destroyer. Pretty simple, pretty easy. This thing is, like, most of the time I only use this for headwinds, or if I need to make sure I'm always on the left, never close to the right, that's when I'm using this. So it's exaggerated overstability. I don't need to put it on any angle. I don't need to do anything special with it. It's always gonna come out and go left on backhand. So my last 3 discs that I use for drivers are all forehand. Starting with my most understable option is this 2022 Calvin Heinberg Halo Destroyer, the Tour Series. Now I've had this thing for a while as well. I used to throw this strictly on backhand back in the day, about a year, whenever I got it, about a year and a half ago. And then it's become more of my flex forehand, or if I'm trying to get out and get more distance, I'll use it on forehand for Annie, and it will just glide and then push flat. So this is one of my more big distance forehands, although I don't try to power on it too much because oftentimes I'll flip it over. So if I'm looking for more of a straight shot for the forehand, I go with this 2021 stamped Disc Golf Pro Tour event Force. I found this one a while back. I've had this one for a long time too, but this one's very specific because it just goes dead straight. It will give me a little bit of left turn, but not much, and it will push straight for longer. It doesn't have as much glide as the Destroyers that I'm about to show you now, but it just is a more reliable straight shot that I can trust. And then, like I said, my big overstable forehand that gives me a little bit of turn to the left but is reliable. It's just this factory second Halo Destroyer. This is, just like for forehands, is just power. It has the most glide of any forehand disc that I have, and I really enjoy throwing it. It gives me a lot of really push hyzer, if that makes sense. It likes to go a little left, but when it hyzers, it still gives a lot of distance. I have a couple other discs that are like it for backups, but they don't go nearly as far, so I've opted to use this for a while now. And then the final 2 discs in my bag are my side pocket discs. These are more my utility. I only use these in specific situations. And this is my Neutron Wave that I use for rollers or big Annie backhands, although I don't really throw it for that much at all. Just strictly rollers lately. And I got this disc for the intention to be a roller. I used to throw an Avenger SS before I lost it about a year ago, and then I've been on the scramble to find a new roller, and this has been the best thing I found so far. And yeah, this disc has just been the roller for me. Nothing really special, and I don't use it too much, but whenever I do need it, I have it in the bag for that reason. And then the final disc that's in my bag is in this side pocket, which is my Thumber and Tomahawk, pretty much my scramble disc, which it's become, is this Lucid. It's the Opto X Glimmer Stiletto, which is from Latitude. I used to throw it on backhand a while back as well, and then it started to give me a little more turn. This pink one. So I started using it on thumbers and tomahawks to get out of the woods since it's so thin, being a 13 speed. And it kind of just became that entirely. I didn't really use my drivers or any of my other discs really for those get out shots, because when you throw it hard and hit, you know, the trees and stuff, it changes the stability of my other discs. And I really wasn't liking that, because I was always opting to throw the Destroyer or throw the Force or something. So when I found this disc and I designated it for just the tomahawks and thumbers, I actually started to figure out what this disc did exactly when I threw it for those shots. And if it hits the trees and becomes slightly more understable, it wasn't really breaking my heart. So, and it was saving my other discs from getting destroyed and beat up. So that's what this disc has become. I use this a lot more than I'm proud of, but it does the job, and I've been able to really utilize it for what it's worth. And then final things to finish up my bag, I like to keep I keep a Sharpie and some other tape. I like to keep some grip and a baseball, just in case I'm ever throw something in the woods. I always like to have a baseball to knock it out of the trees. And then lastly is my rangefinder, which is nothing special, just a normal Bushnell rangefinder. So that's my bag. And going into the 2024 season, I have a couple things that I'll probably be changing up that I can give you a preview for right now. I've been just teetering with a few options, and I will definitely share those, which are going to be these 4 options right now. Starting with a Buzz SS. This is a Flex, Z-Flex Buzz SS I had from a long time ago. I've just had it in the bins, in the backups for a long time, and it's more understable than my ESP Buzz, but I'm debating just sliding it into the bag for just a more understable mid-range shot. Nothing special really. It probably won't be used too much because I'm going to opt to use the Buzz, but it just gives me another option if I need something that's more exaggerated and can pan more to the right for understability. So that's that. And then maybe replacing the Justice that I've had in my bag for so long is this Get Beefy Zone OS. That's the Crystal Flex plastic. I was surprised how overstable this really was. And despite it not giving as much skip as the Justice does, it really does the trick. And I like the Flex plastic a lot. I've been throwing the Get Free keys for a long time, so I'm fairly used to it. So I think this might be a candidate to replace the Justice for approach shots. And then in addition to those 9 speeds, more understable than the Raptor would be this Proton Tesla. Now I got this as a lab second. It says a nice flip up to flat. In headwinds, it does give a nice flex line and sometimes can turn over a little bit. So it'd be probably more of a fair weather disc. If I'm trying to get more glide out of my 9 speeds, this is the way for me to go. I think this is gonna go into my bag for more, you know, exaggerated shots that are maybe like something I'd use my Lone Howl 3 for, but I want to get it to go a little more straight or a little more right than finish left. This will do this naturally rather than me feeling like I have to put the other hybrid discs that I have in my bag on angle. So I'm debating putting that in. And then finally, this Halo Infinite Emperor. I got this from one of my buddies, and it is just a super overstable option compared to the orange F2 Destroyer that I had. The Destroyer has a lot more glide and pushes for more distance, but this disc has the overstability that Destroyer once had. That Destroyer used to be extremely overstable and would always go right. Now it gives a little more push to the left, a little more push straight, tad to the left, and then finishes to the right. And this just goes strictly straight into the right. So I'd be able to use this for forehands only to the right. And the reason I only use discs for forehand and backhand, except for some super overstable 9 speeds, like I had said, is because the more I throw them on forehand, they stay as they are on forehand. But if I throw discs on backhand and I hit trees or I hit missed lines and stuff, it will change the forehand angles and the stabilities quicker. I feel like forehand stability is more fragile rather than backhand. You can kind of manipulate a little easier, at least in my game. So that's why I try to like to separate forehand and backhands. Now, obviously, it's a case-by-case basis with that Z-Line Raptor that I have. I throw forehand and backhand, so it just depends. But that is my in the bag for 2023. Thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. Stay tuned for maybe another in the bag for 2024. And thanks for watching.